You know what's strange? Men never tell you directly that they're testing you, but they do. Not because they don't trust you, but because they want to know, can this woman really stand beside me when life isn't easy? When a man truly wants a woman, he doesn't test her with words, he tests her with silence. You see, silence is a very powerful thing. It can either build connection or reveal chaos. When a man goes quiet, most women instantly panic. They think of he's losing interest, he's drifting away, something's wrong, but often that's not the case. Sometimes a man goes silent not to punish you, but to protect his peace, to gather his thoughts, to see if your love can breathe, even in the absence of constant reassurance. Because patience is not just waiting, it's how you behave while you wait. When he doesn't call, when he doesn't text, when he pulls back a little, do you lose yourself in overthinking? Or do you stay grounded, trusting that the bond you share is deeper than a few missed messages? That is the real test. You see, men who are serious about a woman, they don't want to be loved only for their presence. They want to know that even in their silence, they are safe. They want to know that the woman beside them doesn't demand constant validation, but offers quiet understanding. Because a man's world is often filled with battles he doesn't talk about, the kind that make him retreat into himself. And in those moments, he's not asking for advice, he's not asking for noise. He's silently asking, can you stay even when I have nothing to give? Patience in love is not about ignoring your needs. It's about learning to respond, not react. It's about saying, I trust your process, even if I don't understand it completely. When a woman reacts with fear, she pushes him further away. But when she responds with calm, she becomes a safe space he can return to. That calmness, that inner peace, that ability to love without demanding control. That's what captures a man's heart forever. Sometimes when he's testing your patience, he's really testing your peace. He wants to see if your love adds to his life or drains it. Because a man can find attraction anywhere, but peace, that's rare. And the woman who can stay composed in the storm of uncertainty, who doesn't beg for attention but holds space for connection, she becomes unforgettable. So when he goes quiet, don't chase. When he seems distant, don't assume. When he takes time to think, don't fill that time with anxiety. Instead, breathe, trust, let him feel your patience. Because a woman who can stay grounded in his silence shows him something far greater than beauty. She shows him strength. She shows him that love doesn't have to be loud to be real. It can be silent. It can be steady. And that kind of love is the one that lasts. Respect, that's where everything begins. And that's where everything ends. When a man truly wants a woman, one of the first and most subtle ways he tests her is by watching how she speaks to him when she's upset. Not when things are good, not when he's romantic or charming, but when he disappoints her, frustrates her, or makes a mistake. Because anyone can be sweet when life is smooth, but character shows up when emotions rise. You see, men don't always say it out loud, but they deeply crave respect. Not the kind that comes from fear, but the kind that comes from understanding. He's not watching whether you agree with everything he says. He's watching how you disagree. Do you attack him when you're angry? Do you throw words like weapons? Or do you choose to express your pain with grace without tearing his dignity apart? Because in those heated moments, something sacred happens. He's not just hearing your words, he's feeling your energy. And that energy tells him everything. When you shout, insult, or speak with contempt, he doesn't just hear the anger, he hears, "You don't see me as worthy now." But when you stay composed, when you express hurt without humiliation, when you say, if what you did hurt me, but I still respect who you are," that strikes his heart in a way no beauty ever can. Every man remembers how a woman made him feel when he was wrong. Did she shame him or shape him? Did she attack his pride, or did she help him rise above his mistakes? Because a man's ego isn't just about arrogance. It's a fragile layer that protects his sense of worth. And when a woman handles that ego with care, even in conflict, she becomes unforgettable. She becomes the one he feels safe to be honest with. A man will sometimes test a woman through small provocations, saying something teasing, being blunt, or even disagreeing strongly, not because he enjoys conflict, but to see how she holds her composure. He wants to see if her love is stable or reactive. Can she challenge him without belittling him? Can she express passion without poison? That's the quiet examination happening beneath the surface of every argument. Respect is not about silence or submission. It's about tone, timing, and truth. It's saying, "I can speak my truth, but I won't destroy you in the process." It's knowing when to pause, when to listen, when to let the fire cool before responding. A man who is serious about you doesn't want a woman who agrees with him blindly. He wants a woman who respects him deeply, even when she disagrees, because that's how trust grows. And here's the truth: the way you handle anger determines how much space he'll allow you in his heart. If you humiliate him in conflict, he'll start to withdraw emotionally. If you respect him even when you're hurt, he'll start to open up more. Because to a man, respect equals safety. And when he feels safe, he becomes vulnerable, soft, real. So remember this: your tone in anger can either build a bridge or burn one. When you speak with respect, even when it's hard, you're not just passing a test, you're earning a place in his soul. Because men never forget the woman who could correct them without crushing them. When a man truly wants a woman, one of the most powerful and hidden tests he gives her is the test of loyalty. Not the kind of loyalty that's about never talking to another man or checking his phone. No, this test runs deeper. It's about emotional loyalty, spiritual loyalty, the kind of loyalty that reveals itself when life becomes uncertain and when he starts to show his imperfections. You see, most men don't reveal their weaknesses easily. They've been taught from a young age to be strong, to never cry, to always keep it together. Society tells them that vulnerability is weakness. So when a man finally trusts a woman enough to show his broken parts, he's not just sharing, he's testing. He's asking, silently, "Can I show you my cracks without you losing respect for me?" Because the moment he lets down his armor, he's risking rejection. He's risking the possibility that you'll see him differently, that you'll stop admiring him the same way. Loyalty, in his eyes, isn't about staying with him when he's powerful. It's about standing with him when he's powerless. It's about whether you can handle his storm without running away. When he opens up about his insecurities, his failures, his doubts, he's watching your reaction. Do you comfort him or criticize him? Do you hold his pain in confidence? Or do you later use it as a weapon in arguments? Because the moment a man realizes his vulnerability isn't safe with you, he'll never open that door again. There are moments when a man will share something heavy, something that shakes his confidence. He might say he feels lost, unsure, not enough. And in that fragile space, what you say next becomes sacred. If you meet his honesty with care, he feels seen. If you meet it with judgment, he feels small. And that feeling of being seen or being small determines whether he'll see you as a partner or just someone temporary. True loyalty is quiet. It's not loud promises or dramatic gestures. It's the silent support when he's at his lowest. It's choosing to protect his dignity when he's not around. It's defending his name in rooms where he can't speak for himself. It's standing beside him, not because he's perfect, but because you see the goodness in his effort. Men test loyalty through time, through trial, and through trust. Sometimes they'll intentionally share a fear or weakness just to see if it leaks. They want to know, will she protect what I share or will she expose it? Because loyalty isn't proven in comfort. It's proven in conflict. It's proven when things get messy, when misunderstandings happen, when temptation appears. There's a kind of woman who, when a man looks at her, he feels safe to be human. He doesn't have to pretend to be strong every minute. He doesn't have to wear a mask. And that woman becomes unforgettable because in a world that expects men to hide their pain, the woman who allows him to be himself becomes his peace. So, if a man shares his soul with you, understand what that means. He's not being weak. He's being brave. He's trusting that you won't use his truth against him. He's giving you access to the most delicate part of himself. And that's not something to take lightly. Loyalty is not tested in words but in silence, in how you speak about him when he's not there, in how you handle his flaws when no one is watching. Because love can make a man fall, but loyalty is what makes him stay. And when a man sees that your loyalty doesn't depend on his perfection, he'll give you something rarer than his love. He'll give you his heart. Emotional maturity. It's one of the most silent, but most crucial tests a man gives to the woman he truly wants. And often, it's not intentional. It's not a game or manipulation. It's just that life naturally reveals who we are through moments of tension, misunderstanding, and difference. When two people come together, it's not the love that's first tested. It's the maturity behind that love. Every man, at some point, will notice how a woman handles conflict. Because anyone can be soft when everything feels right. But the real test comes when things go wrong. When he disappoints you, when you don't feel heard, when emotions boil inside. In that very moment, he sees something beyond your beauty. He sees your depth. He watches whether you try to fix the problem or just win the argument. He notices whether you attack or approach, whether you shut down or stay open. Emotional maturity is not about suppressing your feelings, it's about mastering your reactions. It's the difference between saying, "You never care about me," and saying, "I felt hurt when that happened." The first sentence attacks. The second invites connection. And that difference, that ability to express without destroying, that's what makes a woman stand out in a man's eyes. Because a man doesn't want perfection, he wants peace. He doesn't want control, he wants understanding. You see, emotionally mature women don't run away from discomfort. They lean into it with calm. They don't try to make a point, they try to make it work. When tension arises, they don't throw everything away and say, "I'm done." They pause, they breathe, they ask, "How can we understand each other better?" And that pause, that softness in the middle of emotional chaos, tells a man that she's not just reacting from the moment. She's loving from wisdom. Sometimes a man will test this without even realizing it. He might say something careless or pull away when stressed, and in that moment, He's observing how she handles emotional distance. Does she chase him with panic, accuse him, or give him space while keeping her calm? Because when a woman stays balanced in uncertainty, it shows strength, not indifference, but inner control, and that's incredibly rare. Emotional maturity is also about not turning every disagreement into a disaster. It's about realizing that love isn't about me versus you, it's versus the problem. It's about remembering that sometimes silence heals more than shouting, that listening can be more powerful than speaking. A mature woman doesn't measure love by constant attention, but by emotional safety. And men feel that difference immediately. There's a peace that comes from being with someone who doesn't explode every time things don't go her way. There's a comfort in knowing that even in anger, she'll still choose respect. And men value that deeply because life already brings enough chaos from the outside. The last thing a man wants is to come home to more chaos inside. He's not looking for a perfect partner. He's looking for a peaceful one. Emotional maturity also means not taking everything personally. Sometimes he's distant not because of you, but because of something within him. Sometimes he's quiet because he's processing, not rejecting. A mature woman understands that. She doesn't create stories in her head, she seeks truth with patience. That kind of emotional awareness doesn't just make her attractive, it makes her magnetic. Because a woman who understands emotions doesn't drain a man's energy, she restores it. And here's the most powerful part. Emotional maturity doesn't mean you never cry or get upset. It means you know how to handle those feelings without burning the relationship down. You can express, "I'm hurt," without shouting, "You're the problem." You can disagree while still protecting the connection. That's what men notice. That's what they test. When a man finds a woman who can handle emotional storms without losing herself, he doesn't just respect her, he trusts her. And that trust becomes the foundation of everything else. Because love isn't proven in romance, it's proven in reactions. It's not about how you love when it's easy. It's how you love when it's hard. And when a woman shows that kind of emotional maturity, she becomes the calm he never knew he needed. She becomes the home he never has to escape from. Consistency. That's one of the quietest yet strongest tests a man gives to the woman he truly desires. You see, attraction might bring two people together, but it's consistency that keeps them there. And for a man, it's never about how beautifully you begin, it's about how gracefully you stay. Because anyone can be loving when things are fresh, exciting, and easy, but he's watching to see what happens when comfort replaces curiosity, when life gets busy, and the spark dims for a while. That's where the male test begins. When a man is serious about a woman, he doesn't just pay attention to her affection, he observes her rhythm. Does her warmth depend on his mood? Does her kindness fade when he can't give her time? Or is she steady, loving, supportive, grounded, even when life doesn't go exactly the way she planned? Consistency isn't about being perfect every day. It's about showing up with sincerity, again and again, through the ordinary moments. Men notice the shifts. They might not say much, but they feel everything. They feel when your tone changes, when your patience runs thin, when affection turns into obligation. A man who truly wants you will test not to manipulate, but to understand. Are you here for convenience or for connection? Will you stand beside him only when he's strong, or will you still stand when he's struggling? Because love that depends on circumstances is not love, it's transaction. Consistency is also about emotional reliability. It's about whether your words align with your actions. You say you care. Do you still care when he's not at his best? You say you'll support him. Do you still support him when his path isn't clear? You say you trust him. Do you still trust him when fear tries to take over? A man feels safest with a woman whose emotions don't swing wildly between extremes. A woman who can express passion without chaos, love without control, care without demand. The truth is, inconsistency confuses a man more than silence ever could. Because when he doesn't know which version of you he's going to meet, the loving one or the cold one, he starts to withdraw, not because he's lost interest, but because unpredictability feels unsafe. And men don't build homes where they don't feel safe. Consistency tells him, you can count on me. Even when life shakes us, I won't shift with every storm. That's the kind of woman who gives him peace. Not because she's always cheerful, but because she's stable. Consistency also shows in the small things, in how you treat him when nobody's watching. Do you still show care when there's no audience? Do you still speak gently when there's no reward? Do you still pray for him, think of him, or send a message of encouragement when he's quiet? Because it's those small, repeated acts that build emotional trust. A man doesn't fall in love with one grand gesture. He falls in love with the woman who makes love feel safe every day. And sometimes consistency is tested through distance. When he's busy, when he's focused on his goals, when he's unavailable for long conversations, he watches if you remain patient or start creating chaos. The woman who understands that consistency isn't about constant contact, but constant care, wins his heart because she gives him freedom, not fear. A man might also test by pulling back emotionally, not to play games, but to see if your affection disappears when he's not pouring into you. He's silently asking, do you love me because I make you feel good? Or do you love me even when I'm not at my best? That's the test of consistency. To keep loving without needing constant reassurance. To keep showing up without conditions. And here's the irony. The more consistent a woman is, the more secure a man becomes. Because consistency communicates loyalty. It whispers, I'm not here for the thrill, I'm here for the truth. And that kind of energy makes a man drop his walls. It makes him want to reciprocate that same steadiness. When he sees that your love doesn't fluctuate with your feelings, he starts to trust your soul. So, when he's testing you through silence, through distance, through time, remember, he's not looking for perfection, he's looking for peace. He's watching if your love can hold steady when emotions fade, if your patience can remain strong when he's distracted. Because real love isn't proven by how passionately it starts, but by how consistently it continues. A consistent woman doesn't chase validation. She becomes the validation. She doesn't need to prove loyalty. She embodies it. And a man who experiences that kind of presence, that quiet stability, will never forget it. Because consistency doesn't just make him feel loved. It makes him feel safe. And when a man feels safe, he stops testing. He starts trusting. And that's when love finally becomes real. Gratitude, such a simple word, yet it carries the power to transform an entire relationship. When a man truly wants a woman, one of the most subtle yet profound ways he tests her is by observing how she responds to what he gives. Not just the big things, the small, almost invisible gestures. Because men are not only listening to your words, they're feeling the energy behind how you receive them. And in that space of giving and receiving, He discovers something essential. Are you grateful or are you entitled? You see, a man's heart is not moved by demands, but by appreciation. When he brings you a coffee without being asked, when he remembers a small detail from a story you told, when he fixes something in silence, he's not doing it for applause. He's doing it to feel valued. And when a woman notices those things, not just with words, but with genuine warmth, it awakens something powerful in him. It makes him want to give more, to do more, to be more. Because appreciation is oxygen for a man's soul. A man will often test a woman's gratitude not by what he gives, but by what she expects. He'll notice if her love grows only when she's receiving, or if she can still smile even when things are simple, even when he has less to offer. That's because gratitude isn't proven when life is abundant. It's revealed when life is ordinary. When she still says, "Thank you for trying," instead of, "That's all." When she notices the effort, not just the outcome. That's when he sees her heart. There's something deeply magnetic about a woman who finds joy in simplicity. When she lights up because of small gestures, a message, a shared meal, a thoughtful word, it tells him that her happiness doesn't depend on luxury but on love. And that, to a man, is gold. Because it means he doesn't have to perform to keep her attention. He can just be himself. Gratitude creates safety. It tells him, I see you. I value what you do, even the unseen parts. And men, though they rarely admit it, crave that more than anything. Sometimes a man will intentionally hold back from doing something grand just to see if she still appreciates the small things. It's not manipulation, it's curiosity. He wants to know, does she love me for what I bring or for who I am? Because a woman who only celebrates the big wins will disappear when life turns quiet. But the woman who still smiles at the little efforts, who still finds reasons to say thank you, she becomes his peace. Gratitude also shows in how a woman speaks about her man. When she celebrates his efforts publicly, when she acknowledges what he's trying to do, even if it's not perfect, it strengthens his confidence. But when she constantly criticizes, compares, or complains, it chips away at his spirit. Because a man doesn't need perfection to feel proud, he needs to feel that his efforts matter. Gratitude makes him feel seen, while constant dissatisfaction makes him feel invisible. And here's the part most people miss. Gratitude isn't just verbal, it's emotional. It's in your tone when you speak. It's in the softness of your eyes when he walks into the room. It's in the way you respond to his presence. Do you welcome him? Or do you treat him like an obligation? Men are emotional creatures in disguise. They pick up on every sigh, every look, every moment of dismissal. And nothing hurts a man who loves deeply more than feeling unappreciated. A grateful woman doesn't flatter, she feels. She doesn't fake admiration, she truly notices. She knows that even a small "thank you" can make a man feel 10 feet tall. And that doesn't mean she never wants more. It means she values the effort that builds toward more. Because gratitude doesn't settle, it inspires, it creates an atmosphere where both people want to give, not because they have to, but because they want to. Men often fall in love with women who make them feel capable. And gratitude does exactly that. When you appreciate what he does, he feels stronger, more confident, more inspired to become the man he wants to be. But when appreciation is missing, even love starts to feel heavy. Because love without gratitude turns into expectation, and expectation without balance turns into resentment. So when he's testing your gratitude, he's not looking for dramatic praise. He's looking for your awareness. He's wondering, does she notice the little things I do when nobody else does? Because the woman who sees the invisible parts of a man, his effort, his care, his intention, earns something rare, his devotion. And here's the beauty of it all. Gratitude doesn't just make you more attractive to him, it makes you more peaceful within yourself. When you start to appreciate instead of complain, you shift from scarcity to abundance. You begin to see love not as something to possess, but something to nurture. You stop counting what's missing and start cherishing what's present. In the end, gratitude is what keeps love alive long after passion fades. Because passion burns, but appreciation endures. And a man who feels genuinely appreciated will move mountains to keep that feeling alive. That's why, when he's testing your gratitude, he's really asking one thing: can you see my heart, even in the smallest things? And when you can, that's when love stops being an emotion and becomes a devotion. Support, it's one of the deepest and most meaningful ways a man tests the woman he truly wants. Because every man, no matter how confident or capable he may seem, carries a part of him that's uncertain, that fears failure, that questions, do I have what it takes? And while he may never say it aloud, he's always feeling it deep down. So when he meets a woman he truly values, he watches not how she reacts when he wins, but how she behaves when he's still trying to figure things out. When a man has a dream, something that sounds too big or even impossible, he doesn't need someone to tell him how unrealistic it is. The world already does that every day. What he silently looks for in the woman he loves is faith. Not blind faith, but that sacred kind that says, I believe in you, even when you doubt yourself. Because a woman's belief in a man isn't just emotional, it's transformational. It can breathe confidence into the parts of him that fear the future. And that's why he tests for it. Sometimes he'll share an idea that seems crazy, a plan, a goal, a vision that's still fragile, and he'll watch how you respond. Do you laugh? Do you discourage him? Or do you say, it sounds difficult, but if anyone can make it happen, it's you. That one sentence, that simple vote of confidence, can change the course of his entire mindset. Because support to a man isn't just about standing beside him when he's strong. It's about standing behind him when he's still climbing. Men feel it deeply when a woman believes in them. When you speak words that inspire instead of criticize, when you remind him of his potential instead of his past mistakes, you give him something rare: courage. And courage is the fuel that keeps men moving forward when everything else is uncertain. A man who feels supported doesn't just love you more, he becomes more. Because when a man knows that the woman he loves truly believes in him, he starts believing in himself again. But support isn't just about encouragement, it's also about presence. It's not always about saying the perfect words, it's about being there. Sometimes he doesn't need solutions, he needs to know that you won't run when life gets messy. He needs to feel that when his plans fall apart, you won't treat him like a disappointment. You'll remind him that he's still enough. That's why when a man is serious about you, he'll test your stability. Not by asking you directly, but by showing you moments of vulnerability, of imperfection, of confusion. He wants to see, can you handle that version of him too? True support is tested not when life is beautiful, but when it's uncertain. It's when he feels lost in his career, when his finances are unstable, when his mind is restless. Does she still stand beside him then? Does she still see him with respect? Or does her love shrink when his success does? Because a man can find admiration easily when he's doing well, but he values the woman who still admires his effort when he's struggling. That's the one he never forgets. Support also means knowing when to push and when to pause. Sometimes, loving him means challenging him, reminding him that he's capable of more. Other times, it means holding space and letting him rest. Emotional intelligence is knowing when he needs your strength and when he simply needs your softness. A man will often test this balance unconsciously. He'll share frustration or failure just to see how you handle his emotional energy. Do you make it about yourself, or do you help him find calm? The woman who can absorb his storm without losing her own peace becomes irreplaceable. Men notice the small things, how you react when they open up, whether you roll your eyes or lean in, whether you make them feel judged or understood. When a man feels supported by a woman, he starts building his dreams around her. But when he feels constantly criticized or doubted, he begins to protect himself by shutting down. Not because he stopped loving her, but because no one thrives where they feel small. Sometimes he'll even create small emotional distance to see how you respond. Not as a trick, but to understand if your love depends on his performance. Will you stay when he can't give much? Will you still speak life into him when he's silent, tired, or uncertain? Those moments reveal everything. Because support isn't proven when things are easy. It's proven when everything feels heavy. The most powerful thing a woman can say to a man who's struggling isn't, "What's wrong with you?" It's, "I'm here. I believe in you." Those 5 words can turn fear into faith. A man will never forget the woman who stood by him when he felt like giving up, because the world will remember his success, but he will remember who believed in him before that success came. So, when he's testing your support, don't think he's questioning your loyalty. He's seeking your energy. He wants to feel that your love strengthens him, not pressures him. He wants to know that even if he loses everything tomorrow, he won't lose you. Because support isn't just a gesture, it's a kind of love that says, "You're not alone, dollars." And when a man feels that from a woman, he doesn't just cherish her, he builds his entire future around her.